DC has their own Spider-Man and nobody told me? Hey, it's Jug. And yeah, you heard me right. DC has their own version of Spider-Man. Everybody knows that Marvel and DC copy each other all the time and basically steal superhero ideas. I mean, some are so obvious that they couldn't even hide it. But sometimes Marvel and DC steal a superhero and change it just enough for it to fly under the radar. That's sort of what happened with DC's Spider-Man, except for the fact that like everybody hyped him up as DC's Spider-Man. But anyway, let's get into it. Who exactly is DC's Spider-Man? Well, DC is notorious for trying to launch a new comic series. It's something that I give them a lot of credit for. DC really tries to push new creators and new characters at least every year or so. So, in 2017, there was a huge promotional push for an upcoming character created by Dan DiDio, Justin Jordan, and Kenneth Rocafort. This character would eventually be known as DC's Spider-Man, but his real name was actually Sideways, and he was kind of a failure. But he's actually pretty interesting. From the character design of Sideways that was shown in promotional material, people could kind of see that Sideways had a similar build to Spider-Man and a sort of simplistic costume like Spider-Man. However, people wouldn't learn who exactly Sideways was until his first solo issue released in February of 2018. As readers waited for Sideways to actually release and find out who this person actually was, people started to form their own opinions about him just based on the character design. I mean, people are doing the exact same thing right now with Absolute Batman. He's chonky. Since it took so long for the book to come out, there were many people that just lost interest or felt like this character would just be a ripoff. I mean, yeah, he kind of had some appearances in dark metal or death metal, but his first real solo storyline would be in his own series. So finally, Sideways #1 hit the shelves, and we got our first real look at who this character was. His real name? Derek James, a high schooler much like Peter Parker, who had a transformative event that gave him superpowers. But instead of a radioactive spider bite, Derek got his abilities during the events of DC's Dark Knight's Metal. And he got these powers when he accidentally fell through a rift in space-time. Now, here's where things get interesting. Sideways' powers, they aren't just web swinging or wall crawling. Derek can create dimensional rifts. Basically, he can sidestep through space, allowing him to teleport short distances, kinda like jumping between realities. This ability is super versatile and gives him an edge that's distinct from Spider-Man's traditional powers. But that's not where the comparisons stop. Much like Peter Parker, Derek struggles to balance his normal life with his superhero responsibilities. He's got school, friends, and family drama, but also this whole other life where he's dealing with villains and trying to master his abilities. He almost even has his identity revealed in the first few issues and has to deal with the duality of hiding his identity while also using his superpowers to protect his friends, family, and just people in danger. But Sideways brings in a fresh twist with his dimension-hopping powers and with the twists DC decided to take with the character. Specifically, DC allowed Sideways to find justice. Let me explain. In issue 6 of Sideways' solo comic, Derek is super stressed with his powers and everything and finds himself kind of ignoring his family because he's so busy. However, while he's ignoring his family, a group of people who are investigating who exactly Sideways is find Derek's family and ends up killing Derek's adoptive mother. Throughout the ensuing issues, Derek mourns the loss of his mother, fighting through grief and trying to bring her killers to justice. As his last issue comes to a close, Sideways actually manages to find the people who killed his mother and defeat them, bringing his family closure and bringing these villains to justice. So why didn't Sideways become as big of a hit as Spider-Man? Well, for starters, the timing wasn't great. DC launched Sideways during an era where they were trying to pump out a ton of new heroes and series under their New Age of DC Heroes banner. This meant he had a ton of competition and the market was already oversaturated with new characters. On top of that, while his powers were cool, his storyline didn't really quite catch on with readers the way DC had hoped. But Sideways wasn't a complete flop. He had some great moments and interactions with iconic DC characters throughout his 13-issue run. And he even had a run-in with Tempest Fugonaut, a cosmic level being who actually sees Derek as an important figure in maintaining the balance between universes. And that's where Sideways kind of stands out. He's got a unique place in the DC multiverse, not just as a Spider-Man knockoff, but as a character who could evolve into something more significant. His teleportation powers open the doors for all kinds of interdimensional stories, and with the right push, he could carve out his own path in the DC universe. I mean, at this point, everybody's losing their minds over the multiverse. I'm not saying we need more multiverse content, but he could be involved in the multiverse for DC somehow. Or DC could just surprise everyone by telling some great stories, maybe one where Derek finds love and gets married and settles down, and he doesn't have a demon take away his marriage from Mary Jane, or have Derek get cut by some guy named Paul. So yeah, DC does kind of have their own version of Spider-Man, but Sideways is more than just a copy. He's got his own vibe, his own set of struggles, and his powers are way beyond swinging from webs or wall crawling. Debatably, from what is implied in some of the issues, Sideways might have the power to create actual tears in reality, which could have insane repercussions one day. If DC can find a way to develop his character even further, or decides to ever use him again, Sideways might just get the recognition he deserves. But what do you think? Could Sideways have been DC's next big hit? Or is he doomed to be another one of those almost characters in comic book history? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.